comes only a day as we saw a little bit a while ago, the Muslims or pilgrims in Mecca moving to Mount Arafat after spending the night in Mina. And this morning we'll talk more about this holy ritual with our guest, Dr. Ismail Hamid, researcher in comparative religions. Thank you, sir, for being with us this morning.
Good morning, Dr. Ismail, and you've also written some books. We know that you're also an author, so could you tell us about the Hajj pilgrimage for Muslims?
Yes, first of all, I would like to congratulate all the Muslims on the whole world by this great Islamic event. This is a glorious day, the day that we are now. This is the standing of the Muslims on the Mount of Arafat. This is a very great day for us, and tomorrow will be the feast day, the Bayram. So congratulations for every Muslim in the whole world to be every time in peaceful life and in security and to be in prosperity. Pilgrimage, this is one of the main pillars in Islam, and as we know, pilgrimage, it means that the Muslims, that they left everything, they left their houses, their children, their families, and they went to God, to the holy places, especially in Mecca and in Medina. This is in order to make some special rituals that happened before, and we had a long story of that dates back to the time of Prophet Abraham. We talk about more than 4,000 years ago, and the Muslims, they do as that happened before. And also there is a great relation between the pilgrimage and an Egyptian woman, Hagar, the wife of Abraham, when she went to Mecca with her son Ishmael and with her husband Abraham, and they lived there in an arid valley without plants, without life, and nothing over there. And just her and the child Ishmael, who was an infant less than 2 years. In a time happened that the water that they had was over, so she was looking for the water for her son, who was crying loudly. So she went to the mountain between Safa and Marwa, and then she walked between both of them 7 times, and she was turning all around from this and this, looking for that. So at the end she came back, and there was an angel that came down from heaven, and he dropped the land by his wing, and there was the water that was coming between the legs of Ishmael. So this is the story of the tour between the 2 mountains of Safa and Marwa, and also what after that, when they will turn all around the Kaaba and the rest of the pilgrimage. So that story that started more than 4,000 years ago, from the time of Prophet Abraham, Hagar, and Ishmael. Peace be upon all of them.
Okay, sir. Apart from the rituals by those who are already there today on Mount Arafat and then in Muzdalifah and Mecca, for us here Hajj means sacrifice.
Yes.
The slaughtering of the sheep.
Yes. To the same time that also started the story of sacrifice. Sacrifice has a great meaning in Islam. When you sacrifice your life for God, and when you have great patience, and you are fully submitted to God and to the order of God. In one day or in one night, Prophet Abraham, he was sleeping, and then he had a vision. This is a vision of God. He told him that go and take your child and go to the mountain and slaughter your son, and not to kill him, but to slaughter him or to sacrifice him to God. So Prophet Abraham, he had his son Ishmael when he was 86 years. So he was an old-aged man, and he had nothing during that time, and he was praying God every time to have a son. When he had a son, and his son started to move, he was nearly 12, 13 years old, and there is an order of God to slaughter your son and to present him as a sacrifice of God. What he can do, he should be submitted to the order of God.
Total submission.
Yes. So Prophet Abraham, he took his son Ishmael, and he did not tell his wife Hagar, and then they climbed the mountain of Mecca. And it was a very hard time to him. And then he told his son that, my son, I had an order of God to slaughter you and to sacrifice you to God. What do you see of this? He said, oh father, you should obey the order of God, and I'm fully patient of that, and we should obey that. So it was
Allow
a
me to
great
interfere
answer.
here, before you continue, allow me to interfere here. You just said that Ismail at the time was 12 to 13 years old.
Yes, yes.
So we need to shed more light on the fact that a 12 or 13-year-old boy,
Yes.
he submits to the will of God and encourages his
Yes,
father.
at this time we talk about a prophet. Ishmael was not also a normal son for Abraham. He was a prophet, and he was a son of a prophet. So it's a family of prophets. Okay? So for him, for prophets, there was a special education from God to them, and there is a special mind for them. And the submission to the order of God, it's something, there is no doubt for this point. So when Ishmael, even that he was a son, when he heard that order of God, okay, father, there is no discussion of this. So he went with his father to the mountain. It was very hard. So when they went to the top of the mountain, he turned his son to the backside, and then he covered his face, and then he put his head and his front would be through the earth. At that time he had a knife. When he turned his knife to be closer to the head of his son, the knife does not work. The knife, it's a knife. But in this time, because Abraham, he was obeying, and he had a great patience and submission and obedience to God, so God gave him the recompense of this. When he was ready to slaughter his son, there is a voice of heaven to Abraham. Abraham, you are a true man, and you obeyed the order of God. So we redeem your son by a sheep. There was a sheep came from heaven, and it was on the same place where Ishmael. So the sheep with that, it was the gift of God, or it was the recompense of God. And after that, God promised Abraham to have another son. So when Abraham, this is the meaning of the sacrifice. When he obeyed the order of God, okay, God saved his son, and then promised him to give him another son who would be Isaac. That's just less than 1 year after. Sarah, she was the first wife of Abraham, and she was an old-aged woman. She was more than 90 years, and she was praying God to give her a son. But so after that, she offered him Hagar. She was a servant that came from Egypt, and then Prophet Abraham, he married her, and she gave him the first son, who was Ishmael. So they waited for about 14 years till have the promise of a new son for the old-aged woman. So this is the great meaning and the appreciation of God of a man who is obeying the order of God and submitted to him. So he saved his son, and he promised him for a new son. So this is a great meaning of the symbol of sacrifice, because this is a hard test for Abraham, but when he obeyed, so there is the recompense of God for him, to save the son that he should be slaughtered, and then to give him another son. So Prophet Muhammad, who came from the same generation of Ishmael, he was called as the son of the two slaughtered, or the two persons that they should be slaughtered. First one was his grandfather Ishmael, and the second one was his father Abdullah. Because Abdullah also, there was a story that he should be slaughtered by his father Abdul Muttalib, because he prayed to God, if I will have 10 sons, I'll slaughter one of them and I'll sacrifice him to God. So then God gave him 10 children, so he should sacrifice one of them. So it was Abdullah, the father of Prophet Muhammad. So for that reason, Prophet Muhammad in the Islamic tradition, he was called the son of the two slaughtered, or the Ibn as we say that the two persons that they should be slaughtered. Like, yeah, yes.
So both men and women climbed the mountain.
No, except Hagar. Hagar could not hear that order that her son would be slaughtered or sacrificed.
But now
yes,
women and men are both encouraged.
Yes. Yeah, this is a tradition. After that, we do the same. So we do the same as Hagar. She went between the two mountains. We do the same thing, and then also we should sacrifice for a god. And then also another meaning for sacrifice, this in order to help the poor people. During that time, or on the day or the day of the buyer or the sacrifice day, we should help the poor people and to give them meat. Meat now is a very expensive thing for the life for the old people. So the poor people maybe a few times in the year when they will eat the meat. So during that time, we do a very important Islamic tradition for us and to imitate what happened on the time of the prophets. On the same time, we help the poor people and we give them the chance to live as us and to taste the meat, which is very important for the life of the man. So it's very important because if a rich Muslim, he does not help a poor Muslim, it will be a problem in the society. There is rich or there are rich people and poor people. If the rich people, they don't help the poor people, it will be a problem because the poor people will look at them as arrogant people. They are not good, so I should steal them, so I should do anything to get anything from them. I should live for a poor person. So it's good when the rich person, he started to do the good act and to give him good things for him to good life. After that, you will appreciate that he's a good man, he is a generous, he is something like that. So it is an order of God to make a good society between the people. So it's also another meaning of the sacrifice for the charity between the poor people and the rich people.
Okay. Sir, I want to focus more on the lessons that we hear non-pilgrims can do or draw from the event itself. Yes. One of them, as you said, as you mentioned earlier, is the sacrifice. The second one also that you mentioned was submission and obedience, total submission and obedience. We want to talk more about this point because from the story of Prophet Ibrahim and his son, submission and obedience was the source afterwards to, it could be a source for us to renew our belief, our trust, and our confidence in God.
Yes, sure.
It's an annual occasion to
yes, sure.
renew
Submission to the order of God, something very important for any believer, for any Muslim. And even the idea of sacrifice is mentioned on the three heavenly religions. It's mentioned on Judaism, firstly, and then mentioned in Christianity, and then also in Islam. On the three heavenly religions, we have that story. Okay, you should be submitted to God. You should be also, you should obey the order of God, because if you do this, so God will recompense you and give you the gift of God. And God is generous more than his slave. If the slave does something very good, what do you think about his Lord? His Lord will give him a great recompense, a great gift in his lifetime and even also on the second life. So something very important for the submission or to be submitted to God for the life of person. Because also there is a tradition mentioned by Prophet Muhammad that God say that, "O my slave, if you obey my order and you are satisfied of what I make as a destiny for you, you will be happy in your life and you will be okay in your life. If you don't do this, you will be disturbed your whole life, and you should obey the order of God." So anyway, we should obey the order of God, but if we are satisfied of this order, it will be good for us. If we are not satisfied, it will be terrible for us during our life. We don't feel safe, we don't feel happy, we don't feel good during our life. So it's very important for that meaning to obey the submission of God, but also we should have a correct tradition of this, not anything that anyone is telling you, this is an order of God. How I know that it's an order of God? Yeah, the sacrifice is mentioned in the Quran, so it's correct thing, and there is no doubt of that. Maybe other traditions that they are not sure of that point, they are doubtful of that, so we should not be so tough when we call to Islam. We call to Islam by the tolerance of the religion, okay? We talk about the correct things, the things that we are sure of this point, okay? Not to be so tough on the people when we call to Islam, for not to give a bad idea about the religion. That now in the media of the West, that they talk about the Muslims, that they are violent and they are so it's very bad image, because some Muslims, they give a bad image of the religion. Religion itself, it's a pure religion, it is a tolerant religion, so we should learn of this, not to be tough to the people and to call to the people in a tolerant way. And this is mentioned in the Quran. You should call the people with tolerance and with simplicity also for your call to the religion.
I'm very interested with regards to the preparations before Hajj.
Yes.
So how do people prepare their psychology themselves before Hajj?
Yes, you know that the pilgrimage, it's very important to do as a pillar of Islam. But if you have the money to do this, something very important to have the means to do that. If you didn't have that, so you are not obliged to do that. So if you have the money and you prepare yourself, so it's very a spiritual time for you. Because now you think about another world, not the world that you are now with your family, with your money, with everything that you have now. You think about something very different. You go just buy a simple clothes that you have and nothing more than then you go there to the holy cities that we have. Why we do the pilgrimage just in these two cities? Why? Just in Mecca and Medina. Mecca, it is the place of the first mosque on the earth, as it's mentioned on the tradition. The first mosque which is built, it was there in Mecca by Prophet Abraham. Also, it is the birthplace of Prophet Muhammad. And then 500 kilometers to the north of Mecca, we have Medina, the second holy city, the city of immigration of Prophet Muhammad. Also there is the grave of Prophet Muhammad. He is buried there. Also there is the